Okay, well, I'll go ahead and start. It's right at 12 o'clock. So welcome everyone. We're all so excited that you're all here today. I'm Bethany and I'm with AARP. Before we go ahead and start the session today, I just wanted to give a little bit of a background on the Idaho Scam Jam Alliance. And then I'll also just go through a few ground rules and then we'll go ahead and hand it over to our speakers. So just a brief background, the Idaho Scam Jam Alliance is a broad-based coalition of nonprofit organizations and state agencies. We educate and arm the public with the tools they need to recognize and stay protected from fraud and identity theft. And we really believe it's not a question of if, it's a question of when you are targeted for fraud. We all have a tendency to think we are invincible, but the statistics prove otherwise and show that scammers are successful. And so the hope with these sessions is for you to not let this happen to you, your family member, your neighbor, or anyone else you know. So a few ground rules before we get started. Participants can leave the class at any time. It's not a requirement for you to have your camera on during the session, so whatever you're most comfortable with. Everyone's microphones will be muted. Please feel free to ask any questions in the chat. And if you're not super familiar with Zoom, the chat box is on the bottom of your screen. If you move your mouse and or cursor to the bottom, you'll see it right down there, a little chat logo. And if you just click on it, we'll be monitoring that the whole time, and we'll make sure that at the end of each speaker's presentation that we have time to answer your questions and that your question is answered. And along with this, please stick to just professional language and behavior only during the class. And then a quick reminder is the session is recorded. And so if you wish to not be recorded, you can go ahead and turn your camera off. But again, it's whatever you're most comfortable with. So thank you so much everyone for being here today. I know the Idaho Scam Jam Alliance, we're all so excited. And I'll go ahead and hand it over to our first speaker, Marcel.
Hi everyone, my name's Marcel Kovela and I'm going to be presenting for you today, and as soon as I can get my PowerPoint presentation going, I will get started. Alrighty, can everybody see that? Are my notes on there or is it the presentation?
Your notes are on there.
Your notes are on there, so you want to share the other one.
I don't want to move it because I know it's going to go straight to my. Okay.
All right, did that work?
No, not yet. Oh, there it goes. You're good.
Okay, perfect. Sorry about that, guys. My name's Marcel Kovela. I'm a United States Postal Inspector. For those of you joining us in Idaho, there are 3 postal inspectors here in Idaho, and I thank you for joining us for this Lunch and Learn series put on by Idaho Scam Jam Alliance. So many folks don't know exactly what a postal inspector is, and postal inspectors are federal agents who investigate any crimes involving the mail. And so types of investigations a postal inspector might conduct involve mail theft, mail fraud, drugs in the mail, things that go boom in the mail, powders in the mail. We deal with employees and workplace violence issues. We do child exploitation investigations, and we do physical security for the post office and their infrastructure, that kind of stuff, plus many more types of investigations. So inspector does, it's never a dull day here in the office, and it's a really enjoyable job to have. So as many people know, the post office is a federal agency. However, no federal tax dollars are designated for the Postal Service. And so Postal Service operates and pays its employees based on the revenue it generates. And this presentation is usually 45 minutes to an hour long, so I'll be skipping a couple slides and a couple videos here, just so we can get it down to the time allotted. So this is a very old slide. As you can see, the numbers are very old, and I'm working to get some better numbers. However, each year, there are millions of complaints filed and billions of dollars lost here in the United States each year. And some of the scams that you'll see, as you can see on the slide, are identity theft, debt collection, bank and lender, shop at home, and sweepstakes and lotteries. I could talk for hours about all the scams that we see here in our office, but today I'm just going to focus on the sweepstakes and lottery scams. So the sweepstakes fraud advance fee scheme. The main thing out of this slide, guys, is beware of the wire transfer requests. If somebody's asking you to go to do a Western Union, or to send a MoneyGram, or to buy a prepaid credit card, buy gift cards, that kind of stuff, it's definitely going to be a scam. So be careful. If you've been told that you've won something, or that they're, even the work from home scams, there's a bunch of different types of scams out there, but anything that asks you to send a wire, be highly suspicious of. Legitimate sweepstakes are fun and free, and so you don't have to pay for those. You've heard the term no purchase necessary, and that really applies to a lot of these types of sweepstakes and these games and stuff. I'll say it once, I'll say it now, and I'll say it later on. Please safeguard your financial and personal information. I cannot stress that enough. And as you've heard in prior presentations and later on our next presentation and even next week, they will tell you this as well. So like I say, my slides are a little old, but each year, multi-millions of dollars are lost here in the United States from people due to scams. The type of scam that we're dealing with, the sweepstakes and lottery scams, they always ask you for some type of money to receive your winnings. Whether that be, hey, you've won $5 million in a Mercedes, or you've won $7 million in a BMW. All you need to pay is the processing fee, or pay the taxes, or pay the handling, or pay the customs fees. There's always some type of reason why they want you to send some money before you receive your winnings, and that's because you're not getting any winnings, and they just want to keep milking you for more and more money. Now this scam specifically has origins in the United Kingdom, Canada, West Africa, and most familiar or most popularly known, Jamaica. They're difficult to prosecute because the United States obviously does not have jurisdiction in these other countries. And so it's easier for me to try and educate you, and for you to take this information and share it with others, so that other people or yourself do not get scammed. And we like to try and catch it ahead of time, and try and prevent it from even happening to begin with.
Across the country, people are being notified.
Marcel, we've lost audio.
Okay. Not sure how to fix that. So I'm sorry if you guys cannot hear the audio on this video, but this lady is getting scammed from lottery scams. She thought she's won some money, $2 million. They wanted her to send $4,500 for her $2 million winnings, and she got scammed. She sent money orders, cash cards, Western Unions, MoneyGrams. She sent stuff through the mail, that kind of stuff, and she lost a lot of money. Well, since the video doesn't have any audio, I'll just skip ahead to the next scam. It's just she was a scam victim and she lost money. A postal investigator investigated that. Once the money gets sent off, it's really, really hard to recover. So older Americans enhance risks. Why does this scam typically, why does it work? Let's not use that word, but why are older Americans more susceptible to the scam, and why do the scammers try and target older Americans for this scam? Well, they're banking on a few things. Number one is since older Americans, they usually think, and they're usually right, the older Americans usually have some type of a retirement saved up or a nest egg or some type of inheritance. They usually have money saved up. And so this type of a scam, the bad guys wouldn't use on a college person because they typically, college kids probably don't have the money that, they probably don't have $4,500 or $5,000 laying around to try and send to these bad guys. And so there's plenty types of different scams for college age kids. But for the older Americans, that's one reason why they target older Americans for this scam. Another reason is they realize that our older Americans were probably raised in a different time and day than it is now, where you probably didn't have to lock your door when you were growing up, or you could trust who you're talking to on the phone. And they kind of prey on that, and you're raised to be polite and trusting and trust who you're talking to on the phone and that kind of thing, and they're just using that to con you out of more money. They're ashamed to report victimization, and a lot of our older Americans, they enjoy their independence, and they're afraid or ashamed to admit if they do get scammed that they might not have that independence anymore. They're afraid of the consequences. Diminished decision-making ability is always a factor. It's just really, really sad that so many people are getting scammed, and we see complaints all the time. And so that's why I'm trying to help everybody out here and educate folks, and hopefully we can get this prevented and be on the lookout for your elderly relatives, uncles, aunts, parents, grandparents, great-grandparents, like that. We've had retired teachers, we've had retired veterans, we've had a lot of people of all different types of educational backgrounds that have been scammed and fell prey to this and lost hundreds of thousands of dollars. And it's just really, really, really unfortunate. So there's another video here. Once again, I will skip the videos due to the audio issues. So a couple of things to look for with your loved ones, or for your loved ones or someone you may suspect who's getting scammed. So you want to monitor large, repetitive, or suspicious financial transactions. Notice stacks of sweepstakes offers or prize notification letters. I've been in homes, and we visited homes for investigations, and they just have so much mail piled up. And I'll tell you this, once the bad guys receive money for you and you're on their sucker list, they create a list. It's called a blacklist. And what do the bad guys do with this blacklist? Well, they're in the business of scamming and making money off of people, and so they'll sell their blacklist to their other cohorts who are also trying to scam. And soon before you realize it, you might be getting a couple pieces of solicitation mail or some type of scam mail per week, and now you're getting several per day, and it just stacks up and it piles up. And I've been in houses where there's just piles and piles of it, and it's definitely, they've definitely been scammed. And I haven't really talked about how this starts, but how this scam starts is usually somebody replies to a mail solicitation. So they'll usually the first time they may not ask for anything too much. They might say, hey, why don't you enter a contest, or why don't you pay $5 and put your name and phone number and your address. It looks harmless enough because if you receive something in the mail the first time and they're asking for $5,000, that might be something that you wouldn't be willing to do. And so you reply with that. Now they have your phone number, and then they start calling you, and they told you, hey, you entered this contest a couple of weeks ago, and here, you've won, and here's $3 million in a car, and that's where they hook you. Or they'll just cold call you. They'll have your phone number from the white pages, and they'll call you. Or they'll send you a message on Facebook. Or they'll take over another one of your Facebook friends' accounts and message you pretending to be that friend and say, hey, I just won $5 million. And you look at it and you see, oh, it's from my Facebook friend that I talk to all the time. And unfortunately, it's a scam. Another thing to discuss are changes in living conditions. There's a video that I won't show, but this lady was basically scammed out of all her money, and she didn't have money to buy groceries, and you could just kind of tell the house didn't look the same as it normally did, and that also could be a telltale sign. So how can we prevent this, or what can we tell others? Well, the number one thing is don't respond. Don't respond to those mailings asking you for money. Don't respond to or don't answer phone calls from people you don't know or a number that you don't recognize. They also know that our older Americans might be less likely to hang up on somebody because they think it would be rude to do so. But if somebody is trying to scam you out of your hard-earned money, out of your hard-earned retirement, out of money that may be going to loved ones later on down the road, you need to hang up on these people because they're trying to take that money from you. Once again, keep your personal information private. We even mentioned on Facebook, you might put your grandkids' names on your Facebook, and it might be public. And there's other scams where they try to call you and tell you that one of your grandchildren have been arrested and are in jail in a different country. And all of a sudden they start rattling off one of your grandkids' names. And how do they know that? Well, they probably got that from your Facebook. So just be really, really careful what you share. Even a grandkid's name, they could be used against you. And obviously the obvious things would be your date of birth, social security number, your Facebook too, to try and guess your password and log in as well. Purchase from trusted online retail outlets. Another thing I'll mention is, you guys are all giving people. You like to give to charity or causes that you believe in. The bad guys realize this too, and they like to send out mailings or solicitations that look like they're from your favorite charities or the causes that you support. And so I've seen Publishers Clearinghouse envelopes that look like the real thing, like they're coming from actual Publishers Clearinghouse. I've seen like the disabled veterans or something. There's always somebody trying to scam you, and they always try to send something that they might send something that looks like it. So make sure when you're sending your donations or your contributions, make sure that you're sending them to the right place. Obviously, and everybody's heard this, if it looks too good to be true, it is, okay? Nobody's gonna call you out of the blue telling you won $5 million in a Mercedes, and that's actually going to happen, and you're going to receive it. Guys, if you wanna play the lottery, go to the gas station, go buy a Powerball ticket or Mega Million. I think both of them are almost 160 million right now. That's gonna be your best chance at winning some type of a sweepstakes or lottery. Research the company prior to sending payment, and be cautious when sending personal information. So guys, I'm going to wrap up here pretty quick. We visited all around the state. We've went and talked to people they've lost $300, all the way up to $300,000. We had an elderly gentleman in Vail, Oregon, who lost over $300,000. We brought back to him over $50,000 that we were able to recover. And less than a week later, we told him not to use the post office and don't send anything else out. And he sent that money out UPS within a week. So it's just, I forgot to mention one thing, another reason why this scam works so well in the elderly is, sometimes our elderly Americans, they're either widowed or lonely, or their family doesn't live nearby, or, they don't consistently speak to their family. And these bad guys are, they develop relationships with these fraudsters, and these fraudsters speak with them on a daily basis or several times per week, and they actually develop some type of a bond with them. And I've been to houses where I've tried to explain to them, well, you've lost $30,000. This is a scam. You're not going to get any type of money. And they tell me to leave, and they don't want anything to do with it. And they can, I can't tell a person what to do with their money. I can only say, hey, you're getting scammed. We don't want to see you get scammed anymore. We don't want you to lose your house. We want your grandchildren and great grandchildren to get any type of inheritance money that you're planning to leave. But sometimes these people just get hook, line, and sinker, and it's really a sad state. And like I say, I've seen it too many times. Working, I've been a postal inspector since 2007, and it's just really sad to see people losing their money. And our office, this last fiscal year, we were able to return about $30,000 from our office back to elderly folks who were getting scammed. And that's a big number, but that's and we're happy and we're grateful we can do that. But a lot of times they're sending express mails, or they're sending something to where we can't, or they wire the money. We just can't get, by the time we learn that it was a scam, that money is all gone. So just be careful. One other aspect of the scam before I wrap up and take questions, a lot of times they'll ask you to send money to other people here in the United States because they realize, okay, Jamaica's a red flag. Well, the people that they're sending to are just other people who are just moving money around, other victims who are mules as well. And so a lot of times, if you're involved in this type of scam and you send out all the money that you have and you tell them, hey, I've sent $10,000, I can't afford to send anything else. Well, then they'll have you, they'll help other people who are getting scammed send you money and say, hey, I'm going to start sending you guys some money. And then you send it through your savings account, and then they ask you to mail it out. So basically, you're just helping them launder other people's money who've been scammed. And so it's just, please, if you've learned anything today, please share it. Please let others know. Please be on the lookout for either yourself or a loved one or a friend who you might think could be susceptible to something like this. I think one last slide here. If you do get scammed or somebody who was scammed, please report the crime. Don't be ashamed. Police need to know about it. We need to know about it so we can try and get it stopped. Notify each business involved. That would be your bank, any creditors, that type of thing. Obtain a copy of your credit report. There's Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax are the 3 credit reporting agencies here in the United States, and you're entitled to 1 free credit report from each of those 3 agencies per year, and you can access those on annualcreditreport.com. Now that is a reputable site, annualcreditreport.com. They will ask you to enter some personal information, and so I just want to let you know that is a reputable website. And what I like to do is every 3 months, I'll get one from one of the agencies. You can order all 3 at once. I like to stagger them out to where I'm getting them every 3 or 4 months, so I can kind of take a snapshot of what's going on throughout the year. Change your PINs and your passwords immediately, and retain copies of fraudulent correspondence. So those are a couple of things to do if the unfortunate happens and you are scammed. We have about 5 minutes here for for questions. And please, if there are any questions, let me know.
Thank you, Marcel. It looks like we do have one question in the chat, and it says, is it helpful to bring mail that looks like a scam to the post office for the inspectors to review?
You certainly can do that, and we take all that mail. We have a basically a fraud center that we send that stuff to, because we don't see everything that's going out there. Unfortunately, the post office processes millions of pieces of mail, and we just don't have the capacity to look through every piece of mail and determine if it's a piece of scam mail or not. And so we'll send it to our fraud center. They compile like pieces of mail, and they know what to look for. And if there's any type of lead, they'll generate a lead and send it out to that inspection service office for further follow-up. So if you do receive it, yes, you can bring it to the inspection service attention, or or you can just shred it or throw it away, or use it as kindling in your fireplace. The weather's getting cold now, so or you can recycle it. But we would recommend that you would either shred it or turn it into the inspector's office. That'd probably be the best bet. Good question.
Thank you. And it looks like we also have another question from Donna. She says, if I have Experian, do I also need Protect My ID? They just sent me an email to subscribe.
Okay, so good question, Donna. Now, Experian, TransUnion, Equifax, they all have features to where you could pay and receive a little bit more information from them. Like I said, I'd always be careful if somebody's trying to solicit you for money. And so what I would do is I would actually go on their website and see something. So when you order up those free credit reports, they'll generate a report for free for you. Now, these credit reporting companies won't necessarily tell you what your credit score is. And so for a fee, which you could pay on their website, you could get that type of information. So I don't know my exact credit score because I don't pay for that extra service, but that certainly is an option. But just be careful if somebody's soliciting you for money. I would fact check, and I'd go back on their website and try to determine whether or not that's a legitimate offer or not. And if that is a service that you want, it should be on their website, and you should be able to access that same offer from their website.
Thank you. Does anyone have any other questions before we move on?
Bethany, can I just mention one more thing to our attendees today? The resource that Marcel mentioned, annualcreditreport.com, that is in the chat if you need to copy and paste that website. And just a heads up for everybody, because of COVID-19, the credit reporting agencies, Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion, they are offering free weekly credit reports because, of course, the scammers and identity thieves have come out during this really difficult time.
Thank you. Marcel, before we move on to our next speaker, it looks like Donna just had a follow-up question. So she just said, but does one need both?
As far as the credit reports or the credit score, what I'll tell you is I would definitely recommend running your free report. It sounds like you may be able to do it more than once a year now, which is great. I don't, if you're applying for a loan or a car, or you're trying to purchase a house, it may be good to know your credit score, but I wouldn't pay for that. Personally, I wouldn't pay for that, because if you're having that stuff ran, whoever you're applying a loan with, they'll be able to find out that information, and you shouldn't have to pay for that. But it's completely up to you if you want to pay for those extra services. And I'm not sure exactly what all they offer, but if you're really, really concerned about it, or if there's some type of service, do a little bit of research and determine if that may be something worth paying for. You can also put fraud alerts through those 3 credit reporting agencies. If you're not planning to do any big type of loan or a loan application in the near future, you can put a freeze on that so nobody can try to apply for loans in your name. And that is something that you could do through them, or your bank may be able to initiate that for you as well.
Great, thank you. So we'll go ahead and move on to our next speaker. And our next speaker is Adriana, and she is a criminal investigator with the Idaho State Tax Commission, where she identifies fraudulent tax returns and investigates tax fraud. She's been with the agency for 5 years and previously held positions as a collection officer and a tax auditor. Joining the Tax Commission, she worked as a tax preparer for 5 years with a focus on business and individual tax return preparation. Adriana is a graduate of Boise State University with a Bachelor of Business Administration degree in accounting and finance. So please go ahead and welcome Adriana. Oh, and I think you're on mute right now.
Can you hear me now?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Okay, are you seeing my presentation correctly?
Yes.
Okay, well, thank you. Hi, everyone, I'm Adriana. I'm testing. Sorry, my clicker it wasn't working. 2020 tax season was one of the busiest for the fraud unit in the Idaho State Tax Commission. We stopped many fraudulent returns. But why is this important to you? This presentation will give you an insight to some of the schemes that we saw and how you can protect yourself. Identity theft can be described in many ways, but for tax purposes, a fraudulent return is when someone is filing, working, or claiming dependents with information that doesn't belong to them. Next, I'm going to show you a graph. This graph is showing you the total number of fraudulent returns received per month in color teal. In blue, the 1099-R scheme. The 1099-R is the form that you receive for distributions from pensions, annuities, and retirements. For example, let's look at June. If you see in June, we received 115 fraudulent returns. From those 115, 113 were part of the fraud of the 1099-R scheme. In total, we stopped more than $50 million in returns from going out to the imposters. But what is the 1099-R scheme? Who was affected? And the most important, how can you protect yourself? The 1099-R scheme was done by the imposters. They got a hold of personal information from Idaho residents who were 65 and older that didn't have a requirement to file. They filed false returns claiming large refunds based on fake 1099-Rs. You can protect yourself from this scheme by filing Form 24, Idaho Grocery Credit Refund. You're gonna have the benefit of receiving the grocery credit, and at the same time, if somebody else is trying to file a return under your name, that return is gonna be rejected. So please take advantage of receiving your grocery credit because it can help you in more than one way. The second scheme was done by tax preparers. In these returns, the preparers were trying to get a bigger refund for their customers by decreasing their income, listing fake businesses. By doing this, the income got reduced and they were able to qualify for bigger earned income credit. If you suspect that someone is using your personal information or your refund is taking longer than normal, this could be a warning sign. In Idaho, if 9 weeks had passed after your return was accepted and you haven't received your refund, please call us. There may be an issue. We mimic the IRS when sending notifications. For example, if we receive an e-file return and a second one is trying to be submitted, it will be rejected. In that instance, you will need to mail your return. If we receive a return that the income isn't matching with the information that we have on file, we're gonna send you a letter requesting you all your income information. If we receive 2 returns that have dependents, the same ones, then we're gonna send you another letter. We're trying to find out who really support that person 50% of the year. But what happens if we receive a return that is completely inconsistent with the information that we have on file? In that case, we're gonna stop the return from processing and we're gonna send you a letter with the steps that you need to follow to protect yourself. This happens because imposters only know some information about you. They can get a hold of this information in many ways, by tax preparers, family members, stolen mail. Public records can be obtained by anyone, giving access to some of your information. This has brought some issues to our collection department, because when someone doesn't pay their tax balance voluntarily, it gets sent to the Idaho Secretary of State Public Records after a lien has filed. As you know, not everyone that files receives a refund. Many have to pay back. Our collection department does its best to collect the balance voluntarily, starting the due process by sending a letter. If we send the letter and there is no response, we contact you. If we cannot get a hold of you via phone and you enter an email during the tax preparation, we may send you an email. If this fails, then we may visit you at your home. Note that sometimes when people change their phone numbers, forget the passwords to log into their emails, when we step in their house, they may think, why you didn't call me? Why you didn't send me a letter? Or why you didn't do something else? So maybe when we step in front of your door, this may be the first time that you see us. But this doesn't mean that it's the first attempt that we are trying to contact you. Also, if a compliance officer steps in front of your door, please ask them for the credentials. Everyone carry their badges, so don't be afraid to ask for that information. If you don't feel good after they showing you their credentials, you are okay to let them know to please go and you can start doing your research. If we are unable to get a hold of you when we go to your home and a lien has filed, then we do force collect. And please keep in mind, our collection process are different from the IRS. So sometimes you hear that the IRS doesn't do some stuff. We do. I wish that I could tell you that we don't force collect, but I can't because we do. But now I'm gonna show you an example of what we won't do. Hello, Mr. Lopez. This is Adriana. I'm with the Idaho State Tax Commission. The reason for my call is due to your account showing a balance of $3,000. For verification purposes, Mr. Lopez, can I have your full Social Security number? Okay. Can you repeat the first 5 numbers? Oh, okay. Can I have your birthday? Yes, Mr. Lopez, I need your birthday. 1953? Okay. As I was saying, your balance is past due, and I need payment now. Or I will call the police and you may face deportation. Therefore, Mr. Lopez, it is in your best interest to pay me now. This is what we're gonna do. We're gonna go to your closest store and you're gonna send me a money transfer for that amount. If you don't, Mr. Lopez, your benefits and your Social Security benefits may be revoked. Yes, your Social Security benefits are gonna be revoked. You're not gonna receive your payment anymore. And let me tell you something else, Mr. Lopez. If you're thinking of hanging up on me, if you hang up on me, I will let all your Facebook friends and family know that you are delinquent in your taxes. No, don't be afraid. Hang up to the person and know that by Idaho law, Social Security benefits are protected from ceasing and garnishment. So don't believe them and don't be afraid. But Adriana, are you saying that the Idaho State Tax Commission does force collect? But how am I gonna know it's you? First of all, by the time your tax preparation is done, you should know if you have a balance for the Idaho State Tax Commission. And also, after we process your return, we're gonna send you a letter. We're gonna analyze how a valid demand letter looks for the Idaho State Tax Commission. First, if you look on top of it, you will see our agency physical address and our logo. Second, you will see our letter ID and reference numbers. These two numbers are attached to your account. So if you call and you give us these numbers and we are unable to find you, then we know there is something wrong. You can see the name of our letter is Notice of Demand. You can also see that we note our Idaho codes. These codes are the laws that guide us in our policies and procedures and tell you what we can do or what we cannot do. Our contact information will always be in the bottom. It will say the Idaho State Tax Commission, or it may say a collector's name if your balance was already assigned to someone to work. So now I'm gonna show you how a fraudulent letter looks like. You see the difference? Take a close look. On top, you don't see that it says Idaho State Tax Commission. You don't say it says IRS. It just doesn't even have an address. Look at this. It also has a letter ID. The imposters really want to get your money. Therefore, they're trying to mimic us as much as possible. But you know, they're also missing other information. If you see the title of your letter, it says Distrained Warrant, not the same as ours. It doesn't have any Idaho codes, and it doesn't have a signature block. And it asks you to do something quick. Imposters always want you to do something faster. So pay attention on that. And the most important thing about these letters is never call the number on that letter. Research our number and call us, but never call the numbers that you see in those letters. Okay. So after we mail you this letter, and if a lien has filed and we are close to levy you, we're gonna let you know too. So here on the left side, you will see a fraudulent intro levy letter, and in the right side, you're gonna see our valid one. And what I want you to put focus in this letter is that it says, the title says, Notice of Intent to Levy Social Security Benefits. Do you guys remember what I said before? We do not cease or revoke Social Security benefits. Those are protected funds as disability payments. So once you see that, you know they're not gonna be able to touch it, okay? Instead of doing that, we're gonna try to get a hold of you. Remember, we may even send you an email. So this is what a valid email looks like. Please pay attention to our email address. If you hover over, you should be able to see the domain. It should say tax.idaho.gov. If it says something different, then you know it's not from us. Okay. We're gonna send you a link so you can see some other payment options. You know that our link is secure because it has a little S on it. That's how you know. And put attention on this. We are asking you to go to our taxpayer access point so you can set up a payment. We are not asking you to verify your social security number, your birthday, your address, or any type of personal information. Most likely, if we are trying to get a hold of you, we already have that information. So we don't need to verify that information through a link. So pay attention to those emails when you receive too. And where that link is sending you to our top payment options. And here, you can create an account and request a payment agreement. If you don't want to create an account or you don't have time, then you can just do a quick payment. You just enter your information and you'll be done. You don't have to request anything else. But if the balance is big, then it's best if you request a payment agreement. You can see that we are not requesting payments and via gift cards, money transfers, or any other type of payments. Every payment that you made through this website is gonna go straight to the Idaho State Tax Commission. Okay. And now we're gonna be talking about preparers. But why is choosing the correct preparer is important? Remember the second scheme, it was done by preparers. When we call these victims for these returns, they didn't even know their return had a business on it. They were not aware. This is why it is really important that you make sure that the person that is preparing your taxes has the correct training, the correct education. There is the IRS Volunteer Income Tax Assistance Program, VITA and BSU. They can help you file your Form 24 for free. So you don't have to spend your money. The VITA program is funded by the IRS. That is why they're able to help you for free. Also know that the only people that can represent you in front of the IRS and the Idaho State Tax Commissions are enrolled agents, tax attorneys, and certified public accountants. Okay. What are the most important thing about choosing the right preparer is that you are giving them the authority about your information and your refund. So if your preparer is promising you a big refund, doesn't explain you your tax return or makes you sign a blank paper, then that's a red flag. Make sure that you review your return. Put close attention to the refund section. Make sure that the account isn't there, is an account authorized by you. We have seen many times that the information that is there is not the taxpayers, and we already pay once to the bank account, right? So if your return said that you were gonna receive $2,000, but you only receive $1,000, but the information and there is not yours, there is nothing we can do. We cannot pay a second refund because we already sent it to that one. Therefore, make sure that that information is the correct one. Also, pay attention that the information in the return is filed with the taxpayer's information. If you are done with the preparation and you don't see any information there, a good thing to do is get up, ask the person to give you all your documents, ask them to delete that information from their software and go to another place. Because most likely they don't have the required credentials to prepare tax returns. Okay, so make sure that everything is filled and ask them, what is in my return? What credits did I qualify? Why am I getting $1,000? If they tell you, oh, you qualify for the child tax credit, then you're gonna be like, wait, I don't have children. How did that happen? Or if they tell you, you got an education credit and you know you were done with college a few years back, then those are warning signs. So understand your return. Ask them to explain it to you line by line so you know exactly what you're getting. What are some consequences of bad preparation? You may receive a refund that you shouldn't have received. And I know what you might be thinking. I don't care if I get a big refund. I want a big refund. Hey, I get it. We all need extra money. But at what cost? You may never receive that big refund that was promised to you. You may be issued an audit assessment and collection action may start. And you may be thinking, well, it was his fault. But in our eyes, it is your fault. You are responsible for your tax preparation, for the information that is in there. So therefore, you are the one that is gonna be paying that money back, not them. So be careful. Okay. If you are a victim or find a preparer that is doing this wrong, please call us. Let us know. We're gonna protect your account. We're gonna be monitoring it and make sure that no one files a fraudulent return under your name. You can also go to our website if you want more information. If we do find something suspicious, we're gonna let you know. Okay, so every year we try to get new tools to protect your identity to be installed, and we have many letters that we sent. Here are some of them. The identity verification letter, in a sense, is saying, who are you? Wasn't this return? This letter is sent to non-filers or returning filers, and is asking you to send a copy of your social security card, your driver license, or a current statement. The identity quiz letter is saying, we thought we knew you, but things are different. Why? It asks you to take a quiz that consists in 3 questions. All those 3 questions need to be answered correctly in order for us to release your refund. And finally, we can send the PIN letter. The PIN letter, we send it because we received notifications that maybe you were victim once before. So we wanna make sure that it was you who filed that return. What happens if you don't respond? Your refund is gonna be delayed. So if 9 weeks had passed and you haven't received your refund, that is why it's really important that you need to call us, because maybe something is happening, okay? What if you're a victim? During our question sections, I'm gonna be posting some slides with the information of these agencies, because you have to reach the Internal Revenue Service, the IRS. Also, if your account was stole by someone, other states do send notifications the same way the IRS does, and we are doing too. So if you receive a letter from Utah, don't ignore it. Please pay attention to those letters. Okay. You may not be a victim of identity theft, but perhaps you know someone who you suspect is committing tax fraud. You can also send a referral to us, and we'll review for that information, and we will do something. So we take those referrals very seriously, so please contact us. Okay. Come next tax season, don't be a victim. Please help me welcome the Fraud and Criminal Investigation Unit Manager, Kristen Lewis, for our question section.
Hi everyone, how are you doing? So far it looks like we only have one question. Is there a place to find a list of qualified preparers in Idaho? Unfortunately, we don't have a list. We can't refer people to specific preparers. There is a link on our website, however, for e-filing programs if you want to actually submit your own tax return. And depending on the amount of income that you make, e-filing can sometimes be free. So we do have that information out there. The IRS does also offer, they have a section where you can verify some information in regards to preparers to make sure that they are an enrolled agent. But we don't have anything specifically for Idaho.
Well, thank you both. We will go ahead and stay on just until 1. So again, if anyone has any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat. But if you do not, we hope you all have a good rest of your day. And then just a reminder for next week, we will be going over being cyber smart and then cognitive changes and susceptibility to fraud. So we hope that you all come back next week for that as well.